Yeah, I love that you brought it. I was literally thinking about the time traveler as you were speaking.
They're trying to be Michael J. Foxes, They're trying to freaking hop in the time machine, DeLorean, and be able to predict their futures.
Right. It doesn't matter what city you live in or who you're with or what job you have. You're gonna freak out,
Good morning, my name is Ren. Welcome to Jared to Jared. On this week's episode, the Jareds will discuss prophecy, the time traveler, the attributes of the prophet, soothsayers, oracles, shamans, and much, much more. Time for the fucking show.
Simple logic and reasoning and prophecy. Is there a difference? Is prophecy just a very subtle form of prediction?
Because even if we look at the religious texts themselves, they're very much fluffed up with fantasy and the drama, trumpets in the sky, dragons, fire from the heavens, Book of Revelation, all this stuff, right? Uh-huh. But what are they based around? A practicality around protecting the village, essentially, right?
Yeah.
If you don't do this and clean up morally and you keep murdering people and all this stuff, well, here's the prophecy if war continues.
Right, you're right. You can tell pretty easily.
The end of days will come, Armageddon or whatever the case. You'll end up in limbo if you're a bad person,
Right.
This sort of predictions or prophecies
the second coming of Christ.
Right, exactly.
Yeah, we've prophesied.
And even the book of Daniel has like the statue talks about, it has like feet of bronze.
Oh, right. Yeah.
Right. And the different metals all the way up, chest of gold, and all this stuff. Right. So, but it has the what they believe now, Christians argue, is the dual power, the dual-headed power of the statue.
Right.
The two nations. And they have argued for a long time that it was America and, America and Russia, but now they're changing it to maybe China or whatever, But the dual heads will sort of at the end of the Daniel's prophecy, and that'll be the last two nations that will then kick off Armageddon. So we're essentially there, according to theologians, Yeah.
Or in Hinduism, I'm sure I've mentioned this before on the pod, the Kali Yuga, which is just an age, an era. And we are, according to that mythology, within the Kali Yuga, which is an age of degradation, separation, cultures falling apart, all that kind of stuff.
Right. Okay, nice.
And based on Hindu astrology or whatever, it's we've been in that for the past couple thousand years and have another few thousand years left of it or something.
Right.
But yeah, so I don't know. I don't know. Is it? But you can always say that, you can always be oh, now is the age of degradation, and look at Vikings coming in to pillage your town or something. It's oh no, it's the end of the world,
Right.
Does it ever change? No, the human story doesn't change too much.
Sure.
And okay, here's a prediction. There's going to be a natural disaster in the coming years. Right. I'm obviously correct.
Right.
We don't know the details, but the generalities are there. So that's the thing too, Nostradamus style. The tower will fall. There will be chaos. It's of course that's going to happen.
Right.
At some point.
Lots of towers.
Lots of times that's happened.
Yeah.
So it's this archetypal thing where it's there's a general map to the human story that then gets retold over and over again, and the details are different.
Right. Then Jesus does that too. Just at the end of days, there'll be, man versus man and natural disasters you haven't seen this, and tornadoes and all this shit. And it's just well, I don't know.
It's happened before.
The
Dust Bowl during the Depression.
Sure. What about even the asteroid that killed,
the dinosaurs? Yeah. So I feel we're fine tuning here that what we mean by prophecy, because there's basic logic, there's basic prediction, there's basic reasoning, but then what's prophecy? there seems to be something else going on with prophecy, whether it's more detail. Like, would I be a prophet if I say, okay, in the year 2037, these very specific things are going to happen, and then those specific things happen? Is that the prophet? Or is the prophet, again, like the oracle who says something ambiguous? If America continues on this path, a great nation will fall. Which one? Who knows?
Right.
Like, is that being the prophet? Or is the prophet the religious guide, something like Muhammad or Christ, who comes in and says, know thyself, not because that's going to give you the ability to predict the future, but because it's going to give you some sort of spiritual insight and understanding and connection to God? Is that the role of the prophet?
So I don't like the practical prophet per se.
Yeah, it's kind of boring.
Just because it's not romantic.
Yeah, it's boring.
Yeah. It's boring. It's like, the scientific prophet sort of thing.
Mm-hmm.
Just like,
right.
If we don't stop, which it can be very much emotional, that I'm thinking about that movie Ocean documentary, and us like commercial fishing is destroying the oceans.
Right.
And like destroying the coral, all that stuff, nobody cares, all that. So that was kind of like scientific fortune telling. If we don't stop doing this, we are literally going to kill ourselves.
Right.
And there will be no more fish in the sea.
Yeah.
Just like pretty insane, consequences to that.
And that's pretty real. I mean, that's just science, right? Like you're saying, there's nothing romantic, mythological behind it. So let's drop that. That's kind of boring. Let's drop that one, because that's clear and to the point. So what's this other kind of prophet? What's the religious prophet, the spiritual prophet?
I liking this. This. Okay, so this other prophet, let's think about mine and your audience expectations of what make a really good prophet. Okay. I'm going to throw one out to you. Trait number 1. Be poetic and really good with storytelling.
They're definitely poets.
Be a crafty storyteller with like nifty word choice and like really creative sort of, ideas in the fantasy genre.
Right.
Yeah.
I appreciate that. Okay. That's a good rule. Another one that comes to mind, Patti Smith, the rock musician.
Yes.
Yeah, she has a line, I think it's in her song Horses, where it's really cool. She would go into ecstatic states on stage. She was gone. She was just channeling and then reciting poetry and singing and all of this.
Nice.
So she has this line that was definitely channeled where she says something about parents no longer wanting their children to be presidents, but to be prophets,
Yes.
Yeah. Like, and they won't become presidents, they'll become prophets, and she's all ecstatic on stage. And there's something to that, because it's kind of like, okay, in a typical materially oriented society, parents are going to want their kids to become doctors, president, all this kind of stuff, have material success in that way.
Yeah.
And then Patti Smith, who has a kind of prophetic vibe to her in some of her songs, or just goes into that like deeper, I don't know, witchier kind of thing about her.
Right.
And then is saying, well, okay, let's imagine that other realm, that other possible earth, where instead of wanting our children to be doctors, president, all this material stuff, we want them to be prophets. We want all our children, we want to raise them as prophets, raise them as artists, raise them as visionaries.
Yes.
Like, and then that becomes a source of pride where the parent says, yeah, my kid became a visionary.
Right.
Artist, speaker, prophet, right? Poet. My kid became a poet. And there's a sense of pride there, not like they're just a bum or something like that. It's like,
right. Cause it's hard to like get into the Schwartz sort of thing. Yeah. Or even this like dogma around like sort of hippie culture, like you have to struggle, you have to be,
right.
you know, some certain.
So you break beyond that. You break beyond the social convention. Okay, so that's I think my kind of requisite for what a prophet is.
I like that.
Yeah, is yours is there's creativity, poetry, right? Essentially, right? And then mine is going beyond social convention. I think the prophet is the one who exists outside of social convention.
Okay, nice. This is leading into my third trait, or the third trait. Let's add to the list, hopefully.
Yeah.
A good backstory.
Oh, cool.
A really interesting backstory that takes our prophet from a place of failure.
Oh,
and
hero's
puts
journey.
them, in the position of moral superiority in order to prophesy to the village.
This is great.
Right?
This is great, Jare.
Yeah. Yes. So let's think about some of the prophets' background stories. All right.
Okay.
Jonah swallowed by the whale.
The whale.
Incredible.
Yeah.
Didn't want to go, right?
Right.
Gets swallowed by the whale, has this cathartic moment with God in there, gets spit back out, goes and prophesies.
Incredible. You know? What is in the whale too? I mean, talk about the whale, the Leviathan, right? The whale it's the whale of the
Moby Dick, baby.
The unsurmountable challenge in your life, right? The thing that looks so fucking big and all consuming because the whale consumes him, right? All consuming. What is the thing in your life that is the biggest challenge? That is the most all consuming fixation that we cannot, that's just like, oh fuck, I don't know how to get past this challenge or past this obsession. And you get consumed by it. And then when you process it, gestate within that, it spits you out, and then there's knowledge.
Yes.
That's cool. That's cool.
And that you sort of have that near death experience too.
Yeah.
Where you see God, you meet God, and we go back to this sort of very primal natural state within the belly of the whale.
Oh, this is great.
You know, something larger than you at that point.
Yeah.
And then you lose all fear and worries because, you know, Jonah worried about this, worried about that. How are my friends going to see me? Whatever the case was, right?
Oh, this is great.
And then, boom, you have this experience and nothing else matters, right? Oh, man, you got to read chapter 6 soon, James of Jare, because this is literally right up King Santiago's
This is so
alley.
great.
Yes.
Okay, so transformation.
Okay.
Right. And that makes me think of Joseph in the Bible, who becomes Pharaoh's dream interpreter.
Right.
And Joseph, same thing. He's in prison for a while. He's existing outside of society.
Right.
And then he's having these visions, dream visions.
Right.
He begins to interpret Pharaoh's dreams and makes predictions for what's going to happen based on what Pharaoh is seeing in his dreams.
Right.
And then says there's going to be a famine a few years from now and we need to start stockpiling wheat now. And it turns out he was right. And then Pharaoh promotes him to this position of power.
Yes.
So same thing. He goes from this degraded prisoner suffering deeply, who then goes on this visionary journey and then comes out the other side.
Yes.
Being celebrated.
Exactly.
Power, right. So, And he's very poetic too in his dream interpretations. Sure. He's the artist. So Joseph fills all these requirements we're talking about.
Nice. So think of a Buddhist one.
Okay.
But we got to address real quick, you know, our homeboy Jesus, of course, one of the greatest prophet probably in the book.
Yeah.
Amazing backstory, immaculate conception.
Of course, born in a stable.
Dude's a carpenter, freaking becomes a rabbi.
Right.
And boom, he's the son of God.
Yeah.
And he's going to get resurrected. Amazing story.
Background story. Transformation, resurrection. And he's the storyteller too, right? I mean, that's what's cool about the Christ Vicar too, is he's a storyteller. He's also the artist. So the artist, the Jesus as philosopher, Jesus as artist.
Right.
As master storyteller.
Yeah. And then what's the book? That book we back to the eyeballs. What's that book that was left out of? It's like major book of the Bible. One of them that was left out.
There's so many, to be honest. There's like the Gospel of Thomas, the Book of Ezekiel. Is that
no? It was in the early scriptures.
The Aramaic Bible, the Gnostic Bible.
It was like he was one of the first.
The Dead Sea Scrolls.
The Book of Ezekiel. No, not Ezekiel. I don't know. He was like Abraham's fathers or part of the tribes or something like that. The Book of Enoch.
Right. Yeah.
His backstory is amazing. Dude's like 1,000 years old, you know, went and saw God.
Right.
You know, and then prophesied about the giants. What was crazy about that prophecy is the prophecy of his story was the angels were doing bad and they were coming down and having sex with the humans.
That always happens.
I know, right? And then
Zeus.
and then the flood was going to come. He was like the first one to talk about the flood. Yeah.
Interesting. Yeah. And Gilgamesh. Have you ever read the Epic of Gilgamesh? It's from like fucking 5000 BC or something, maybe even earlier.
Right.
And a flood story.
Yeah.
Flood story. It's fascinating.
Yeah. Which is sort of these prophecies that all cultures shared too.
Yeah,
it's wild.
yeah.
Different stories.
Yeah. Which I was listening to something the other day, and this guy mentions that the end of the last ice age was 12,000 years ago. What would have happened? I mean, the ice would have melted, and people were definitely around 12,000 years ago.
Right,
We've been around for 100,000 years.
Yeah.
So 12,000 years ago, end of the ice age, ridiculous amount of ice is melting. I mean, so what would have happened? There would have been a great flood for sure.
Right.
You know, like a huge flood. So it did historically happen.
Right. The Younger Dryas.
What's that?
Around that time period, all kinds of crazy shit happened to the earth. It's wild. Yeah.
Cool.
Okay, so let's go over some of our attributes here.
Yeah, sure.
Way with words, poetic, storyteller, fantasy, J.R. Tolkien style.
Yeah.
Your first one was
exceeds social convention.
Exceeds social conventions.
Yeah.
Very nice. And then we got a good background story that brings them into the fold. Right.
Hero's journey, transformation.
Hero's journey,
healing.
transformation. Yeah. And man, I had another good one. Maybe just like aesthetic itself.
There's an aesthetic to it.
Because if I were to say to you like Moses, you immediately have like curly hair with the staff, Gandalf looking
robes. Yeah.
Right. Good aesthetic.
Yeah.
Love it.
Good aesthetic.
Yeah.
Good aesthetic.
What about like sort of like Khufu or even like a Gandhi figure? You get sort of this like, you know, skinny skin and bones sort of like, you know, embodiment of sacrifice, you know,
right.
And servitude to the gods or whatever.
That's true. I like this aesthetic. I think the aesthetic is the outward expression of inward alignment and peace.
Right.
Because, you know, when you see someone, or not even someone else, when you feel it in yourself, when you feel most like yourself.
Right.
And you're dressed in a way that you like, that feels like an expression of you. It's not to please anyone else. It's like a friend of mine. I have a friend who lives in Portland, Oregon, Julia, and she's a metal sculptor. Freaking badass human being. And we met in college, and we're both just these like shy art kids, you know, and she was really nerdy. She was just nerdy. She was just this nerd girl. And then got really into just art and expressing herself, and then started to dress way more colorfully and really kind of discover herself. And then like she had this long hair, cut off all her hair and started doing short hair and different hair colors. And And now she's living and working as an artist. She's doing it. It's freaking rad. And she just like is constantly expressing herself and is into making costumes just as like a side project for fun. Like she's constantly creating. But the point is, when I first met her, she was like this just shy girl from upstate New York who you know, kind of sort of a wallflower vibe, and then started to self-discover and create more and more and more and more. And then just exploded out. And now again, her hair is always a different color. She wears a lot of like tie-dye colors and is constantly creating ridiculous, cool stuff. And there's this alignment there between, it's like, oh, that's who she truly was this whole time. Right. You know, who she grew into. She just grew into herself. Right. And there's an alignment there. Yes. And I think that's true with everyone. There's the self that you can grow into, your authentic self, and that can get expressed in how you're dressing. And it doesn't have to be crazy. For Julia, it means different hair colors, tie-dye, all this stuff. For someone else, it could be like looking super sharp in a suit every day, and like what you just feel good like that. You feel strong like that. It doesn't matter. So yeah, I think there's this alignment actually of the aesthetic with the person. It just like makes sense. They're not trying to be anyone else. Right. You know? Right. Yeah. I like that. And that's what we see, right? Oracle of Delphi. Back then, they thought you had to go into some weird spiritual place in order to see the future. Yeah. Yeah. I'm thinking about the curanderos down in Mexico, South America. Cool. Yeah. Right. Smoking peyote, also tobacco, and going into these like sweat lodges. Totally. And just like steaming out in there for hours, days and days. And then seeing the future in the fire, sort of like going on these mystical journeys where you meet animals, sort of Jonah style. That's great. And your spirit animal or your guide or your shaman. And then you go, you know, and you go to a place where you can see a potential future. Usually, you know, one that you either want to avoid or one that you want to go towards. Yeah. Right. Yeah. And it's up to you in order to recognize that in the moment. Right. Right. God, that's fascinating. Yeah. Which I asked you questions, kind of roll back around to it. So for the Christian religion, correct me if I'm wrong, you kind of have to be, you're chosen at random. Chosen at random. God will send you sort of a premonition. Usually prophet is skeptical at first. Something happens, boom, he's in, you know, Sodom and Gomorrah is going to burn, whatever. Yeah. And then they sort of, I would imagine, I don't know if there's scriptures of it. I'd have to look more into it. But the prophets have like some sort of special place with God in heaven, you know, whatever the case. Certainly Jesus was at the right hand, you know, whatever. Yeah. What's the Buddhist code? What's the Buddhist law? Is it at random? Is it actually like anointed, you know, spiritual leaders? Right. Is there much soothsaying in Buddhism? Yeah. Yeah, great question. It depends on the sect of Buddhism. Tibetan Buddhism is much more rich in its expression of prophecy. Okay, nice. Yeah, and Tibetan Buddhism, and I can't speak to it all that knowledgeably, but they have much more going on with There's a story when the Dalai Lama was fleeing Tibet that they were trying to figure out what route to take because all these routes were blocked by the Chinese because they were trying to capture, to capture the Dalai Lama. So they called in their oracle. Okay. And the oracle's freaking, you know, eyes rolled back in his head, chanting. And then someone's like frantically writing down what the guy is saying as he's just like, you know, in this altered state saying it, right? And the Dalai Lama, I think is 18 at the time, something like that. And the oracle says, here's the route that you have to take. And it's the route that goes directly through the stronghold of the Chinese, like right through the gate that they set up, just through the front door, essentially. Right. And everyone looks at this map that was drawn out and was just like, are you kidding me? No, like, what are you crazy? You know? So then all of these advisors to the Dalai Lama are just like, no, there's this back route. we'd be much more likely to make it through if we take that one.
Right.
But ultimately, it's your decision. What do you want to do?
Sure.
And the Dalai Lama considers it for a day and then says, let's go with the Oracle. Right? Hail Mary pass right now. And then something happens. There's some, just some odd coincidence. I forget the exact thing, but they essentially walk out the front door and it works.
Right.
And they followed the Oracle's path. And it was like the unexpected thing, but it worked. And then he makes it to India and now he's, free to go on living and unfortunately in exile, but
sure.
So anyway, he gets out. So Tibetan culture seems to have much more of that. Zen is very, very, that's the one I know. And Zen is very pared down in terms of all that kind of stuff. Zen is like, okay, your goal is spiritual awakening, unfolding of who you are. So actually you don't want to get caught up in
what the future is.
Visions in the future. You're going to be sitting in a meditation retreat. You're going to have visions of past lives in the future. Don't get caught up in that. That's not your concern.
Right.
You're doing something else here. That's actually the mind just trying to distract you.
Right.
Even if it turns out to be true, it was still just a distraction from your main goal, which is enlightenment.
Right.
So they have a different take on it.
So Zen's more the scientific objective.
Yes. Yeah. Zen is very scientific in its way. I will say, though,
I've always thought Tibetan Buddhism was more romantic, just from a Western perspective.
Yeah, it's very beautiful. Yeah. I will say, though, in Zen, which has some of its roots from Chinese Taoism, in the Tao, there's a line about the individual becoming once more like uncut wood. So it's going back to source. That's essentially what it's saying. You want to live your life in such a way that you are going back to simplicity, back to source.
Right.
Before you put on all the trappings of who you thought you were, before you got conditioned to believe this, that, and the other, before you had all your psychological coping mechanisms and defense mechanisms and hang-ups and your life structure, you want to drop all of that. It doesn't mean that you abandon it. You just release the attachment to it and then go back to being uncut wood. What were you before all this stuff got added on? When you were just a naked soul. Yeah. Go back down into that. And that made me think when you're talking about Jonah and the whale, you go back into the center, essentially. You go back into the center of this behemoth thing that seems so real to you. Oh God, my relationship. Oh God, my job. Oh God, this. Oh God, that. Oh no, what's happening to our country? That's the whale. That's the behemoth. And then you just crawl back into the center of everything and you just sit there in silence. And that's the source. Right. That where you once more find that you're just uncut wood. Right. So I don't know if that's prophetic, but that at least shares, Zen and Taoism shares the that quality of transformation that you were describing as one of the kind of requisites for being a prophet. Okay, nice. So I would say that side of it gets emphasized more in Zen. Right. Yeah. Well, there would be certain attributes too to explain someone who would be able to tell you how to live your present as well, just as much as bewailing of the future. Yeah. An aesthetic, a way of talking, sort of this Taoist, Zen perspective on, going back to nature, what have you. All those things would still sort of match the way. And then we also have these attributes associated to those who warn us of the past. We have a lot of that as well in biblical texts, historical texts, all this different stuff. There's a way in which our historians look, the way that they talk, the way that we trust them, what accolades do they have? What, yeah. And so let's drop religion entirely. Wait, so I'm not ready to. Okay. Let's stay on religion entirely. Okay. Are you can you remember whatever you were gonna? Yeah, for sure. Cool. All right. I have a couple ones, because I just thought of in the Buddha story. Right. He's born into this rich family, right? And then there's a prophet, actually. There's the local prophet in the king's court or whatever. He's the astrologer. Yeah, this is what happens. Okay, so the little Buddha, Siddhartha Gautama, is born, little baby, 500 BC, something like that is what they say. And then the town astrologer, the soothsayer, the prophet comes in and says to the king, the Buddha's father, your son is going to either become a great mystic and teacher or a great king. And then the Buddha's father, who is currently the king, says, well, fuck, I don't want him becoming the mystic. Again, talk about social convention. He's like, no, the mystics are crazy people who live outside the city walls and just say weird shit. He's like, oh,
right.
Like, no, I want him to become the next king and carry the lineage on. So then, freaked out by this prophecy, he creates this beautiful environment and tries to cater to every need of Siddhartha, young Buddha, hoping that if he's just kept totally happy all the time within this beautiful palace fortress, that he's not going to have any desire to go explore other things, that all of his needs will be met and satisfied. And then nonetheless, the Buddha still has that sense of curiosity.
Sure.
Well, what's outside the walls?
Right.
Again, leaving social convention, going outside the city walls.
Princess Jasmine.
That's it. And then the Buddha goes out and becomes the Buddha.
Right.
And his dad's pissed off.
Yeah.
Whatever. And so there's that one too. And that, I think that's the last one that comes to mind.
Okay.
Yeah.
Which kind of reckons back to the backstory of our prophets. And all of them have to deal with some sort of trauma.
Oh, yeah.
And that's traumatizing. Like
totally.
Father-son's connection's broken, not going to be the king anymore, is now going to be like a vagabond.
Yeah.
Sort of,
Tiresias, the blind seer, ancient Greek mythology, his vision is taken away by Hera.
Right.
Because she's pissed off at him about something. So his vision is taken away, trauma, terrifying. And then Zeus comes in and says, okay, well, I can't replace your vision, but I can give you vision, capital V vision. And then he becomes the prophet.
Nice. Yeah. And so many prophets also killed for their prophecies as well.
That's a big theme. Yeah. Totally.
Yeah. Throughout history.
Or not believed. Not believed as well. Cassandra is another Greek figure, and Cassandra is the prophet who no one believes. That's her destiny. That's her doom. That she's going to run around saying, please, please, please don't go to war with that nation. Please, 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 don't sail your ship out there.
Right.
Please, I know what's going to happen. I can see it.
Yes.
And no one believes her, and they continually do it over and over again. And her pain is to witness.
Right.
To witness all of it.
Yes.
Which is devastating.
Right.
Yeah.
So I'm kind of thinking like the West, right? For a call out to Dolly.
So funny.
Thinking about prophecy in Western culture, while it's very much predicated on Christianity, but if you were to sort of step away from religion in a way, it's very hard to step away from religion. Who is the new modern day prophets?
Such a good question.
Is it filmmakers? Is it?
Yeah, this is such a good question.
And I'm thinking too, well, how does the sort of occult horror,
interesting,
trauma, like the prophet in Midsommar. He's that like inbred child.
Oh fuck, that's right. That was so scary.
Like, colors and stuff. Yeah,
that's right.
And all those crazy books.
Oh my god, that scene was so fucked up. Oh my god.
But there's like that seems to be a reoccurring theme too. Is like the person that's on the spectrum or is not normal. Is able to see things that we're not. And is this tied into now our Western understanding of who can foretell the future? I don't know.
Yeah, this is great.
Am I getting anywhere there? Thoughts?
Yeah. So first thought, but it's kind of a passing one. I just want to get it out of the way.
Okay.
In Buddhism and Christian mysticism, everyone has the potential to be the prophet, because the prophet is just someone that speaks truth and speaks the word of God. And there's no delineation between who can and can't be the prophet. The prophet is just someone who chooses to walk that path. If in other words, in Buddhism, they teach anyone, for the most part, anyone who sits in meditation for long enough is going to, be able to see some things pretty clearly. So in that sense, everyone's the prophet, everyone's the mystic. We're all here. We're all children of the universe, right? So we're all prophets.
Yeah.
And then the one who takes on the role of the prophet is the one who just chose to go in that direction and chose to do the exercises, essentially. Do that. But everyone is potentially the prophet. We can all see. We all have that innate ability just by virtue of being human.
Yes.
And I think that's a beautiful teaching.
I like that.
That said, who takes on the role
thyself,
of the prophet?
Right?
Know
Once
thyself.
you know thyself, you can foretell different futures about yourself.
Yeah, if you go deep enough within yourself, you're the prophet. Good job. Yeah. And anyone can do it.
Yes.
Which I think is really cool. It's not this institutional hierarchy thing. Only that's what I dislike about modern day Christianity is that the priest is the intermediary between you and God. There is no intermediary. Right. We're all the priests and priestesses.
Right. Which is what Jesus wanted. The only intermediary is him. Right.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's part of the Jesus story is it's a tautology. You know, I mean, he's the son of God. Well, that's implied because we're all the son and daughters of God. I mean, that's so it's like all this sort of, it's a tautology. It's repeated knowledge that actually just doesn't need to be stated again.
Right.
Except for clarity.
Right. Yeah. Which in the Muslim religion, they see Jesus just as part of the prophets.
Right.
Not necessarily, they saw him as this sort of totalitarian, just like Moses, they recognize all this, but their teaching is Muhammad's the seal of the prophets. He is the last one.
Right.
Then whatever he foretells comes to be essentially,
Right.
Yeah. But you have to keep in mind and to perspective, the entire Western canon as well. Yeah. Which makes it a very interesting religion.
Yeah. Oh, totally. Yeah. Okay. So that, and then wait, so you brought it back to the West in the modern day.
Right.
Prophet. Yeah. I don't know. I think the thing about film, I think you're right about film. There's so many films that we could look at, especially in the sci-fi genre, and say that's prophetic. I mean, there's so many prophetic films, visionary filmmakers, visionary musicians, visionary writers. I mean, there's so many, and that's the thing. Again, I don't think it's someone special. I think it's actually pretty common,
right?
And higher and lower levels. I mean, there's the visionary who I don't know works some boring office job for the state during the day, but then goes home and is working on their novel or painting or something. I think that's visionary work,
Right.
Even though they're not big, famous, recognized people.
Well, I mean, creative work can certainly foretell the future.
Yeah.
Look at Shakespeare, King Lear, he was foretelling a future of King James.
Yeah.
If he decided to not recognize his humanity.
Oh, interesting.
Right. He was going to lead into this wilderness talking to his freaking, his jester the whole time.
Right. So good.
So it's prophetic in that sense of the word.
Yeah.
So instead of building an Oracle of Delphi temple with drugs at the entrance and crazy gases pouring through the seams and super toxic.
Yeah.
We build a movie theater.
Cool.
And we try to move people emotionally through 4DX and sound systems and epic, beautiful storytelling where it's saying if we all go to war, we're going to get freaking Avengers End of Game or something like that. Or, I mean, you can obviously go deeper with house directors and shit like that. But you know what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. We sort of try to emulate this prophecy, this place, this temple of seeing the future.
Yeah.
By, creating our stories, through the senses. What are we seeing, hearing, smelling, tasting, feeling? And
creating the future as well.
Right.
I mean, there's a strange way in which the sci-fi of yesterday becomes the technology of today, right? I mean, like, I don't know, people who become inventors are watching Star Trek when they're kids or something, saying how cool would it be to have, I don't know, a video phone or something, and then next thing you know, we're on FaceTime, or whatever it is. They just anything, teleportation, which we're not there with it yet, or AI. I mean, that was a thing of sci-fi first.
That was they pulled a bunch of scientists as to what Star Trek was going to foretell back in the day.
Right.
And last on the list was a computer you could talk to that could give you basic answers for anything Siri, you asked it. And that's what we have. We don't have teleportation. We don't really have the tricorders or anything, but we do have this crazy computer that we can now talk to, you know? Yeah.
So I think a lot of people actually predict the future by creating it inadvertently. Like the writers of Star Trek, their goal wasn't to come up with technology that we were going to use in the 21st century. It was to entertain and create cool little thought experiments about what society is, and kind of philosophize via futuristic stories and sci-fi. And then that just inspired people who would create the future.
Right. Oh man, I had a good one.
Yeah.
It'll come back around.
I saw this David Bowie interview where he said in the 70s, when he was doing Ziggy Stardust and all this weird sci-fi rock kind of stuff, that he felt like he was creating the 21st century in the 70s.
Right.
Which maybe that's true, maybe that's not. I mean, I guess he did a lot of breakthrough things that maybe opened the door for all these other artists.
Sure.
I mean, I think the 21st century became its own thing anyway, but the attempt was there, or the feeling of it, or just saying, okay, we're going to create.
And that's what gave it a uniqueness. Yeah. That's interesting too, for telling the future with music, ahead of its time.
There's a video of Jim Morrison predicting DJs and just electronic music and how that would really take off.
Sure. Yeah. So here was my thought just a minute ago. What is our drive to want to have objective future telling?
That's a good question.
Because what we've been talking about is sort of Oracle, Delphi, very ambiguous, could be, could not be, subjective. And also, hey, if you start, going outside every day without sunscreen, your skin's gonna get really jerkied out, and that's just a basic thing for sure. Exposing yourself potentially, skin cancer, whatever. Even the ocean, if we keep doing this, the oceans, that's sort of scientific for telling, what have you. But what is the drive to have objective? Tomorrow a car is gonna drive by 3:00 and drop $200.
Right.
Like, you better be there, Seringo Road, $200 on the ground, or else it's gonna blow away and some other guy's gonna get it in the park at 3:30. Like what? Or some avoiding tragedy, or you're gonna meet this woman and her name is Jennifer, and she's gonna be, you're gonna have 2 kids. Okay, what's the drive to want that to happen? Why is that such a fantasy of the human beings? And B, would you want to have that ability? Because that's a classic conundrum too. Do you want to know your own mortality, your own fate? Do you want to foretell the future? Because really, the only person that could actually tell the future objectively is a time traveler. Somebody who was able to.
I was just going to get here. We're on the same page.
Nice. Thoughts?
Yeah, I love that you brought it. I was literally thinking about the time traveler as you were speaking. So I have my quick answer, but I'm going to kind of put that to the side so we can do the time traveler experiment, because that's more fun. Okay. Man from the future, woman from the future, right?
Okay.
comes back to our present, and they're on a mission.
Right.
Right. And there's various kinds of missions, but the nature of that mission that they're on will give us the answer as to why you would want to know the future.
Right.
Okay.
Okay.
So that's essentially the prophet, the time traveler,
Nice.
comes back from the future and says, hey, if you bet on the Super Bowl this year, here's what you need to bet on. Someone's going to throw a pass in the fourth quarter and bet a lot of money on that.
Right.
Okay. So the mission there is to maybe make someone else or themselves lots of money.
Yes.
Okay. So that's one. Another mission would be to go back in time and kill Hitler or something.
Sure.
Okay. There's another. Another mission would be to set things up in such a way that two lovers meet at the right time, either just for joy and pleasure or so that someone else can be born.
Right.
Another mission would be warning someone not to get on that plane.
Right. Impending doom.
Yeah. So those are just some possible reasons that someone would come back from the future, or to tell the society, on a more societal level, hey, don't do this or do that or whatever.
Right. Crazy natural disaster, 15 years, 25 years from now, asteroid.
Right. What's the connecting sense of purpose within all of those stories? Like, what is the real goal of each one,
Right. Well, essentially benefiting and the self.
Mm-hmm.
Your living experience.
Yeah, exactly.
And it's trying to avoid things that would either end that experience or make that experience worse for
exactly.
You.
Yeah.
Right. But see, and then that would be good because then you were in charge also of your fate.
Oh, okay. That's another dynamic there. Yeah.
Because it's one thing to say, hey, do you want to know your fate?
Yeah.
But you can't change it. It's your fate.
Right.
Hey, do you want to know the future? That way you could take steps in order to make one that's more ideal for you in your mind.
Yeah. That's cool. Yeah.
Because the latter, I don't think I'd want.
Okay. However, if your fate was fixed.
If my fate was fixed, I wouldn't want that.
Yeah.
Oh man, this gets complicated, right? Yeah. Because, okay, so let's say just now we got a time machine.
Yeah.
Would you go back and tell yourself, hey, we should have stayed with this person, try to make it work because I'm telling you the future's pretty great. I saw this funny reel of this guy cooking and he's like, my high school girlfriend broke up with me back then. I thought that was my life was going to be pretty bad after that, and it has been. So let's put these ingredients in there. I'm just
That's funny. Yeah.
But then would you be who you are? Would it be a better outcome? Would you also experience sadness and madness and everything? It's really hard. You could spend a lifetime going back and being like, well, actually, you shouldn't have stayed with her. You should go back. Let's go back in time. But that's only going back in time. See, if you could go forward in time, then you would be able to be like, okay, this is a favorable outcome. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Yeah. So
it's a conundrum. I don't really know. Or should we just leave our lives up to fate? Is that ultimately the best thing to do?
Right.
Because I think if we were able to have this power, we would just keep going in constant loops.
Yeah.
Because then you'd never be satisfied with any sort of sadness or obstacle that's put ahead of you, right?
There's the real answer.
Yeah. And then you go back. There's
the real wisdom.
Oh man, I shouldn't have ate that last night. You go back and it's oh man, I hit myself in the head. I'm going back in time. I don't want to hit myself in the head.
This is a great.
Just boom. Yeah, and then this girl didn't work out. That person didn't work out. This friendship worked out. You're never satisfied, and you'll never get to a place.
It's going to be a terrible neurosis. Right? Yeah. I mean, yeah. Well, one, I think the desire to know the future, change the future, it's coming from a place of wanting to feel safe and secure and in control.
Right.
In control of external circumstances.
Yes.
In particular. Right. And you are 100% right, because you just went from sort of the superficial level, which is like, would I want to know? Would I not want to know? Could I make the changes so that things would be more pleasurable in an external way? Sure. That's one approach to that question. And then you brought it to like, but wait, that just becomes its own kind of addictive process.
Butterfly effect.
Yeah. Where it's like, now you're neurotically going back and going back and going forward and going back because you tried to make your life perfect. Right. Only to find out that life is imperfect.
Yes.
And you're not able to control it. So you go back and, your example, you go back and you say, hey, you were supposed to stay with so-and-so in a relationship. And then it turns out you do that. And then it is worse than your than your current situation.
Exactly, yeah.
And then you go, oh shit, oops, my bad. Let me go back and rearrange that. So then actually, let's stick with how it was. Right. But while we're there, I'm going to be back there anyway. Let me make sure I stick with that job instead of this job, because I'm so sick of this job.
Sure.
And then you do it, and it turns out to be really, really good for a while until something happens, the economy whatever, it doesn't matter. Things have their ups and downs. Everything's going to be imperfect anyway. So then you get to a point where you just say, okay, even if I had the ability to know and to change the future over and over and over again, which ultimately we do, I like to think we have free will. It's not about that. It's about developing the internal sense of peace that allows you to be okay with what arises.
Yeah.
Because otherwise you're going to be on this hamster wheel of neurotically trying to change everything. And we can see this in real life. We don't need to do it in this sci-fi way where you go back in time. I mean, there are people who are constantly changing up their job situation, their relationship situation, the city they live in over and over and over and over again, looking for a sense of stability, looking for a sense of peace. But that peace is not going to be found because it's not about the external circumstances. It's about the inner conditions. If you are dysregulated in your nervous system, it doesn't matter what city you live in or who you're with or what job you have. You're going to freak out.
Right. Right.
So,
yeah. And that's sort of like, there's a theory where sometimes in your life you'll get like traumatized by something or via a relationship, a really bad breakup, divorce, whatever.
Yeah.
And then you constantly date that same age of person when that happened.
Oh yeah. Totally.
And because we're going through that cycle, we're trying to go back in time, constantly going back in time. Oh, well, actually, if I could just date a 27-year-old again, then I can go back and totally. Sort of relive that existence.
It's like this Arrested Development thing.
Exactly. And totally. Be able to do that over again. And then it's just gets worse and worse and worse. Because what's happening with the time traveler is as you're trying to fix your life, going back and back and back and forward and back, is the person that's controlling the time travel device is aging.
Interesting.
And then you end up spending your entire life trying to seek perfection. And then you end up dying alone with your time machine, and you don't really have anything at all at the end of the day.
My God, that's like a Samuel Beckett play. It's like a futuristic Samuel Beckett.
Yes, let's write it. That's the time traveler. Yeah.
Fascinating. Seeing. What you were just saying about the Arrested Development sort of thing always. It's like the Peter Pan syndrome. Do you know about that? With men who are like 40 or whatever, and then still, dating 25-year-olds and partying and stuff. It's like, dude, what do you get your shit together? Exactly that. Or and it's not just dating. I mean, we do that in tons of different ways where we keep getting attracted
Jobs,
to the
like
sort of,
you're saying,
the development
whatever, yeah.
stage that we got stuck at, sometimes because of a kind of a traumatic thing. Oh, one thing I was thinking of in terms of trauma and prediction. So when someone is abused as a child,
Okay.
right? And for this example, I'll say sexual abuse, right? Let's say someone is sexually abused as a child. The chances that that individual is going to be abused as an adult is way, 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 way higher than someone who was not abused as a child.
Sure.
Which is weird and really sad and unfortunate. Like, not is no one's fault. It's just like a weird, fucked up quirk of humanity.
Right.
And I mean, there's reasons for that. One could be environmental. You know, I mean, if you're born into like a really intense household where that kind of abuse is going on, you're just sort of like in that environment. So then when you're an adult, you know, maybe you're meeting people of the same sort of character and quality. But there's also, but even if you leave that household, I mean, people continue to find themselves in those abusive situations. And it's like this expectation for what they deserve, you know, which then, you know, and it's all subconscious. I mean, someone abused as a child, as an adult, is then seeking out unconsciously abusive people. Yeah. They think it's what they deserve. It's what they're familiar with.
Yeah. That's the normal.
It's the norm. And, oh, this is just what life is. Yeah. Like they're not, it's just this unconscious belief that life is abuse. So then when they come across an abuser, there's no sense of like, oh shit, I should get out of here. There's just like, oh, this is just what it is, and I'm helpless.
Right.
Whereas someone not abused comes across someone who has obvious red flags or something as an adult and is like, yeah, I'm out of here. This is not my expectation for what my reality is. I'm not welcoming this in. I'm out of here. So unfortunately, that's
or get rejected because they can't offer insecurity.
Oh, interesting.
You know, so the person whose normal love story or just personal story is abuse, right? They're going to reject and be like, oh, you're weird, and like, you know, like, what? That's not how you love somebody, like, you know.
Oh, like the abused person will reject a healthy person. Yes, totally, because they don't think that's what love is. Exactly, it's like, why are you not screaming and freaking out about me? You must not be passionate about me.
Exactly.
Yeah, that, which is like the brain on trauma, you know, is like wild. It's really fascinating and really sad. But then, you know, also, I don't know, it's cool because there's a lot of ways out of it. But anyway, I guess that just like the thing that you're used to. We were talking about this on the last pod, the mold, right? Weren't we talking about that? Maybe it wasn't on the pod. We were talking about the mold. MOLD of who you are, of like your expectations, the right? Maybe that was someone else.
This might have been part of the like Kintsugi conversation we were having too.
Maybe. And anyway, the mold of who you are. Okay. Oh, the King Lear conversation. Okay. We were talking about the mold of who you are and how that breaks down at some point, and then you're Lear out in the abyss, figuring out who you really are. But you have this mold, this pattern of who you are, your expectations for the world, and all of that is constructed when you're a child, and trauma is a big part of that. And then, you know, you carry that with you as an adult, and then you're replaying it over and over and over and over again, you know, getting into abusive relationships, et cetera, et cetera. And then, which on one hand is the psyche, it's just familiar, so it creates what it creates. It's just like unconsciously manifesting the same shit over and over again. There's another element where a part of you is trying to go back to relive it, hoping it will be different, and maybe this time better. So there's like a sort of a sweetness to it, even though it's destructive. Right. And then there's, well, the ability to just break the mold, break the pattern, and just see through it and go, shit, this is what's happening. And then you let it go and then leave. And now the future can be something new and fresh. Right. So I guess I was thinking about trauma as a form of prophecy and prediction.
Right.
An unfortunate dark one and limiting one ultimately.
Sure.
But yeah, I think that's
can be a force for changing the future.
Yeah.
Seeing the future and changing it, Yeah.
Sure.
Turning into someone new, essentially.
Totally.
Yeah.
Which happens all the time.
Right. King Lear. The King Lear moment.
King Lear moment.
Yeah. I do remember this. Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, I wanted to do like mine and your Jared to Jared predictions, freaking.
Oh yeah, that's right.
Nostradamus to Nostradamus, but I don't know. I can't really think of any per se.
Well,
that wouldn't be in the realm of the obvious.
Right. I have predictions for my own life, all of which are really optimistic.
Nice.
So I'm gonna, I don't want to jinx them though, so I'm not gonna. I do have, I don't know if I have more like societal, political, whatever kind of predictions.
Right,
I mean, I think the AI thing is going to be pretty fucking radical, and there's the optimistic version, which is that the robots are going to do all the jobs and free us up to make art and hang out and exercise and do all that kind of stuff.
Right.
The scary, more likely reality is that people are there's going to be mass layoffs, and people are going to be not knowing what to do and how to work with that. And then we'll just be, poverty's going to shoot through the roof and all that kind of stuff, which means violence which means all this other stuff. Hopefully not. Not totally sure. Trump's going to get a third term.
Hopefully not. He said he won't. He's not going to run. Let's hope not. I don't know. It's easy to predict, a fall of society or Rome is going to burn.
Yeah.
Certainly can see a natural or artificial disaster taking place with AI, which could certainly unify humanity, not to go back to Ice-T and Johnny Mnemonic, but low tech us back together, this causes it,
Yeah.
And go full Rollins and then come back to the village in a way.
Yeah, maybe we'll come back to the village. Yeah, things will, we had this period of separation and pain and all that, and we'll bring it back. We'll get reconnected with the earth. I'm kind of
feeling personal one prophecies though. I don't know. Yeah. I don't know. I guess you're freaking me out with the jinx, though. Maybe the podcast keeps you from the jinx.
All right, well, I don't know. We could share some fun ones. It doesn't have to be like, super intense ones.
Yeah,
well, I don't know. What do you got? You got some predictions for your life?
We always want to predict what will benefit us, right?
Sure.
So, your point, sort of, what's the point of prophecy is what to benefit. So I would like to think, find peace in health and stability in health.
Yeah.
Just like staying active,
Yeah.
Finding security in relationship.
Mm-hmm.
And that outlet.
Yeah.
I don't know though. I'd like to do one fun where it's like a cool new job or like, something like that, becoming like the head of the fucking, I don't know.
Yeah.
Ministry of Magic or something, but it's just hard to say.
The Ministry of Magic. Damn.
Right, becoming a tattooer or something, I don't know.
I will say, Mitra, the Zen teacher, she is incredibly present, which is pretty cool.
Yeah.
To be around. And because I was expressing, since I'm doing just normal society stuff, not living in the monastery, I was like, there's a meditation retreat coming up at the end of August, and I really want to do it, but I'm not totally sure if I'll be able to, work schedule, blah, 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 things like that. And I expressed that to her, and she was just kind of like, well, yeah, that's still like 6 weeks from now. She's like, things will unfold the way they unfold.
Right.
She was like, it's not worth getting stressed about or worried about. It's just be present and be here now. Ram Dass. There's no, like, who cares? Like, there's nothing you can do in this moment today that's going to change that. So you're literally you're just manifesting anxiety right now for no reason.
Jesus style. Do it today for tomorrow has its own anxiety.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So it's just like, chill. Like, what's that got to do with right now? I was like, oh yeah, good point. So I like,
which
that's
she
cool.
has a good point of how these micro organizers.
Yeah.
I work with them a lot in academia.
Oh,
just
like micromanagement
stacking
kind of
the
thing?
deck of their like calendars, organizing every little second of their time.
Totally. Exactly.
They're trying to be Michael J. Foxes, They're trying to freaking hop in the time machine, DeLorean, and be able to predict their futures and be like, oh, well, I got to meet with Vicky and then Tom and then all this, and they sometimes spread out over months.
Yeah.
So they can personally see and be like, oh, this is going to happen. That's going to happen. This is going to. Here's the issue with that is you live your life for tomorrow. You live your life for weeks ahead. You are constantly worrying about what's not happening right now.
Right.
When what you're worrying about could certainly change by the time it even got there.
Yeah.
In the first place, Yeah. And then what happens when something happens that you can't predict?
Oh, it's the worst. I hate when
like a loss, happens. Like, your house starts on fire, something like that. Well, those type of people, they lose it. They're just like, boom.
I lost it the other week, bro. Yeah. My car got stuck in fucking mud. It was like quicksand. It was insane. God. And we were stuck there for a while. I had to get Anastasia's friend's truck to drag us out. And now the struts on my car are fucked up. So I got to get that fixed. And you know what? I really reacted to it, and which I was kind of bummed about. I was like, man, I've done I'm so present. I've done all this meditation, healing work, blah, blah, blah. And I had a fucking meltdown like a baby because my car got stuck in mud. Right. And then I was like, damn, okay. It was a humbling moment too, because it was just like, whoa, I was not expecting that reaction. Sure. I thought I could just like, oh, cool, whatever. And let's just figure it out one step at a time. No big deal. Right. But for some reason, it really got to me. And I was like, and part of that was because the unforeseeability of it. I was just like, fuck, I wasn't planning on getting my car stuck in fucking 8 feet of mud today.
Sure.
So, yeah, so that's still there.
It's out of the control. Yeah. And it's a different anger than like something you're controlling that failed.
Yeah. Yeah.
Then it's like, oh my God, we got to fix this. I was here. Like I understand why it failed. Like I'm trying to figure, as opposed to boom, it's failure, you just like, oh, I was in the other room or like, I can't like predict my, mud, just some random quicksand.
So random, dude. Like what the hell? Like, it was so weird. Yeah. One thing this just popped up in mind, but being in this relationship right now is actually one challenge has been, like I feel like I've done a level of meditation, healing, blah, blah, blah on myself and got pretty good, more or less, at like feeling peaceful being single. And now it's like a level up. It's like a new challenge where now it's like this relationship. And it's like, I do have to confront the ways in which I want to be controlling within the relationship of her. I want to control outcomes. I want to feel safe, essentially. How I react to unpredictability. Yeah, right. And ultimately and this is for any relationship, it's an entire another human being who has their own individual free will. And it's like, of course, and you want to respect that and allow that space for them to be fully and truly as they are in their most authentic way, which is beautiful. And that's the ideal I'm learning to aspire to. But then that can be scary. That can be challenging. And then my own little fears come up all the time.
Right.
Because this person is their own free being. Oh God, they could choose to leave me tomorrow. And that's scary. Right. They could choose that they like someone else, and that's scary. They could choose
to
anything,
stay and love you.
They can choose to stay and love you, which is also scary.
Yes,
exactly.
Yes,
so it's like just so in other words, just being fully with another human being is itself a challenge and scary because there's a lack of predictability there. What if they die? You know, like that's fucking, what if I die? Oh my God. Right. You know, you could really get into the fear realm in relationship.
Yes.
And then so for me, it's like, it's becoming this practice of noticing where I'm holding on too tight and then softening my grip and hopefully letting go.
Right.
You know, not of the relationship, letting go of my need to feel in control of myself, of another person, of how the dynamic evolves, and instead just take a step back and allow it to evolve in a natural way that it wants to evolve.
Sure.
You know, and which creates a much more loving environment anyway.
Right. Listen, man, I don't think I like prophecy anymore. I'm off the prophets.
We're off prophets. Yeah.
Because listen, what's happening actually is anxiety.
Yes, exactly.
When you're anxious, you're constantly
you're trying
thinking
to predict
of hypothetical situations.
Yes.
Trying to predict the future, basically.
Totally.
And you're believing in that future as if it's factual, and it's not.
Right.
Whereas if you would stop worrying about that future, you could live in the moment and actually manifest what you want.
Beautiful. Yeah.
Immediately.
Right.
In the moment, you know, you could be present with yourself.
Yeah.
Because we don't know what's going to happen. We don't know what's this. And if there's something that you do want to see in your future, well, start doing it now.
Well, yeah, exactly.
Start making steps to meeting somebody. Start doing steps to getting a new job.
Right.
Getting healthy or whatever the case. And then it will be in your future naturally.
Which is why I'm optimistic about the future. Because that's the thing. Yeah, not to sound all like mystical, like I know. It's just like I'm doing the work right now.
She was just like the most anxious person in the village. Essentially.
Oh yeah, dude, terrible.
Worrying about everybody's freaking wars and awful. Money and everything. Yeah. She's just constantly worrying. No wonder she's on drugs.
Yeah.
Yeah. Which is, you know, sort of harken back to the relationships thing, you know, that you were just talking about can be a detriment too, is constantly just anxiety, calendaring everything. Well, we got to have, you know, make love now. We got to go to dinner on Thursday and we need to do this at 7:30
Micromanage the relationship. That's not going to work.
Yeah. Just like, no, like, let's live together. Let's grow together. Let's experience the unexpected together,
the unknown. It can actually be very beautiful. It doesn't have to be fearful.
Bond and love,
totally,
because it's like, oh my God, we faced something unexpected, the dragon, but we beat it together.
Exactly.
I had you there as support, and boom, we can get past it. You know?
That's cool. That's beautiful. So so I'm seeing this relationship as a challenge to keep finding where I'm stuck, you know, stuck in anxiety, stuck in future telling and all that stuff. And then use it as fuel for, okay, let go of that, soften up, loosen up, just be in the present with this person. Right. I imagine children is, you could speak to this more than I can, of course, but having a child would be like, God, I'm talking about like anxiety around like this other adult person, you know, who's like an adult, you know, and it's like gets to live their life and make their decisions and has a, you know, is independent and healthy and all of that. Like, I could not imagine the challenge that for me of having a child and being like, all of that like desire to control an outcome or control what's going to happen, that would be hard. I feel like having a child is probably a really deep practice in letting go.
Oh God, you know? Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. And that's, you know, like Plato says, don't try to make your children into your own image, for they were born for a time that is not your own.
Oh, that's cool. That's
cool. So essentially let them live, let them grow, help them, support them along their journey to be the best version of themselves that they can be.
Right.
But don't make them into a self, be like, oh, you're going to, become a PhD in English and you're going to study film and, you're going to love Foucault. Look at him. Fucking look at him. You're not going to be religious. And it's just like, hey, listen, everything will be fine if you teach them to have moral fundamentals. Be a good person, respectful, always, don't forget about yourself, try to be healthy.
Yeah. It's actually trust that's going to create the best outcome anyway.
Right.
Yeah. Not going back in the past and into the future to alter things and change them around, just being right here and trusting it.
Right.
To do its thing.
Yeah. We're the prophets.
Yeah.
We can, we're not only the prophets, we're the people.
Yeah.
And we can change our present to equal a better future. Right.
On behalf of the Jareds, thank you for listening. Rate, follow, and tell your friends. The Jareds will be back next time, and always remember, you are the author of your own future. Write it. Have a great week.